Welcome everyone, this is Pilot News and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at lasers and LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Sanswinda!
Hello!
Krister!
Hello!
And Cinders!
Hello!
Hello! Oi.
Project much?
Yeah, I told her to project, so...
I told you, you should appreciate
Now she's punishing me for saying that.
Appreciate the quiet while it lasted, man.
Let's go into a Borer test build that they had last week. A beta number 1 for update 39.1.2. And on this, it included resolve for events, removing the territory call spamming that the event is going to begin in 15 minutes. Thank you! I get tired saying, the chicken run will start in 15 minutes. This will begin in 15 minutes. Yes. The annoying pine leaf is going to begin in 15 minutes.
Well, Pine Leaf is going to end in game, but I bet you it starts showing up in your dreams now.
Oh, please don't. Yes. The size of the last gate in the Forester gate is smaller to force players through a tighter window to ensure that they complete the event. As for instances of skirmishes, in the depths of Magda Corbo, modified the deed list for the tiered Magda Corbo deeds to call out the bosses and in the correct order. Fixed the issue where Belondor and his crew could potentially become locked out of entering combat. And crushing tentacles that wrap boats in the space between the head down phase and the now submerge will, with the head in the re-emerge with the head. This prevents the launching of derelict boats at Umshuru's head during the head down phase. And as for missions and delvings, in the Elder Slave mission, Hunting the Hunters War Corpse quest, the items now last longer before they despawn. And that's it for what's in the release notes here.
Feels weird that's it.
Yeah, that is not one of those long ones. But we do have a message from SSG relating to last week's issue. And that is that we'd like to apologize for the unplanned downtime that occurred this weekend due to the outage at our data center. Our engineers and IT teams who worked diligently throughout the weekend to resolve the issue, and we're pleased to report that the problems have been fixed. We recognize the significance of this outage, especially over a holiday weekend, and we're truly sorry for any inconvenience that it's caused. To show our appreciation for your patience and support, we are announcing the following to our players. First off, the April Fool's event will now run until 3 a.m. on Wednesday, April 3rd. We're past that, but they extended it by some time in order to allow players to run the event who would have missed it because it wasn't on during the weekend. All right. The Spring Festival is extended by a week, concluding at 3 a.m. on Tuesday, April the 9th. So there are still, as of this recording, a little over 2 days left to that. And all VIPs will receive 2 additional days of VIP status to make up for the downtime. Changes will be happening shortly. We'll confirm when they are implemented. And there is an update here is that they've hit an issue in crediting accounts for additional VIP days. Our team is on it, and we're sure to update you as soon as we are able to. So we'll see about that. And to further show our gratitude, we are offering the following from Wednesday, April 3rd through April 8th. So there are about a day and a half to 2 days left on that. That is a plus 20% boost on Virtue XP and a coupon code REWARD 2024 for a pick amount selection package that can be redeemed once per account in the LOTRO store.
Did anybody tell Drac about that?
Yes, I did, and he has a steed.
Excellent.
Okay.
Finally.
He finally has that steed after all these years.
So we might need to name this episode Drac Gets a Steed.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We deeply appreciate your understanding and continued support. Thank you for being a part of the community, and we'll see you in game. So there you go. Thus a couple of things extended in order to make up for the lost time, plus a little bit extra virtue, and as I said before, a free steed from the pick amount box, such as a red painted skeleton steed, if that's what you're looking for. I took the blue roan steed because I had it on my Piney version on Crick Hollow, but I didn't have one on Landrival, so I was finally able to pick that one up. Anyone else take any particular steed?
I haven't picked up my box yet. I forgot when I was on Friday night. So
Okay.
And Krister doesn't ride steeds.
You don't ride steeds?
War steeds. No,
That's
I don't.
cosmetics.
I don't ride big dogs. I ride actual horses.
He's in it for the cosmetics.
I just can't go back to a steed after riding a war steed. Once you're on a heavy war steed, the whole
Right.
world's different. You
All
must trample.
So therefore, you don't believe in regular steeds then?
I know they're there. I mean, I have to believe in them. I just don't believe in using them.
I appreciate how you differentiated between their existence and using them.
Oh, well.
I think we should be able to toggle any steed that we're riding to be a war steed, starting at level 1.
Are you kidding? I think I should be able to ride in debris on Dragok.
Okay, that would be
That
awesome.
would be even more awesome.
But first, I want Shire Plum Dye for Worsted Cosmetics because it really stinks to have beautiful outfits and no matching steed colors.
I just imagine Dragok Shire Plum, and that is an abomination that should never, ever exist in Middle Earth, ever.
No, Dragok would not be Shire Plum. Dragok would be wearing Shire Plum. There is a difference. One is fashionable and the other would be a travesty.
Oh, now you're the master of dragon fashion?
Somebody's
Apparently.
gotta be. Might as well be me.
Okay. If she ever plays DDO, she'll play Dragonkin then. And of course, ride a unicorn because we want something that is even a stranger on the steed department.
I mean, I still think LOTRO could give us a unicorn steed. Kind of, so the headpiece would have the horn come out of it, like they have the one with the antlers for the War Steed cosmetics. You can make your horse look like an elk.
Totally, yeah.
They could totally have a unicorn mount.
Well, something tells me that they're not going to have a unicorn mount in LOTRO.
Well, maybe I'll get Shire Plum Dye for the War Steed cosmetics first.
Also, Orion had a stream on Friday where he answered various questions from the community, and some of the highlights that I heard during the stream were, first off, he recently had an interview where he mentioned the word level scaling, and that set several people into a panic. So he wanted to clarify what he was talking about. So during that one, he mentioned that the level scaling he's talking about is not going to be anything like ESO or like that. He feels that that would not fit into this game. But what it is an optional system where you could set your level downward when you're trying to help a friend that's a lower level to level. So, for example, if you let's say have a level 150 character, you have a friend who's level 30 and you wanted to quest with them, obviously going in there with their 150 is going to trivialize the content. So, unless you're deeding, you probably don't want to do that. So what you could do is then you could set this thing on, downscale to level 30 to be the same level as the friend on them, so they could do it as if they were both level 30.
I will say, though, the benefit to doing story content way over level is that you can actually follow the progression of the story from one to the other, which I got to discover for the first time with Pine Leaf, as we've been doing the Swampfleet and Cardinal stuff, because being able to actually, play the story back to back, at least for me, I found that to be really helpful for being able to actually engage with the story and really see how it's going rather than trying to just stay alive.
Yes, there are advantages to that also. But in this case, we're talking about someone trying to actually experience the game and properly follow it and be able to learn how to play the class. And if you're trying to teach a friend how to play LOTRO or something like this, probably having a 150 over leveled and they're killing everything isn't going to help all that much.
I honestly wouldn't know. I might have started with characters at 100, 105.
Uh-huh. It sounds like somebody did quite a bit of arias or something.
I might
Valor's?
have had some assistance with valoring my arts, yes.
Yes. All right.
Kind of fun. What can I say?
All right. Then also he talked about the new launcher, and he says that it is progressing, but there are some items that they're still waiting for before that could be finished. They also are currently testing something that he's calling server pinning, and what the idea of this is that they will be able to take some areas that have an especially heavy impact and isolate them on their own server or subserver so that they're not impacting other areas. Because right now, I'm not sure how it works right now, but you can have an area that is in an area. If let's say you're questing in an area that's lightly populated, and it is put into the same subserver as a heavily populated area, like, for example, a major raid instance server or something like this, and you can just imagine what would happen is that thing, because of all the stuff that's happening there, is lagging, and so that causes your area where you're requesting it to lag also, even though there's nothing going on in there.
So that's what's been happening.
Well, I think that's not the only thing that's been happening with it, but that's one of the problems is that if there is lag in one particular area because of heavy use, that could spill over to other areas using the same resources. So they're wanting to find the areas, give their own area. So hopefully that they could be able to maybe lessen the lag on that one, but also to reduce the impact on other areas. We'll see how that works. I think they did the first test of that on this week's Bull Roar to see how that'll work, but they'll eventually need to have a larger scale test. So they'll probably, when they think it's ready and have a better idea of exactly what it is, because, I am probably playing telephone and how I'm repeating this right now. So one thing you could do is to listen to the original report on YouTube, and there you could probably hear what Ryan actually said instead of me garbling what he said.
I love the idea of that, though. I think that's fantastic.
Okay. Then, right. Also, he provided us the first hint on the new hobby.
What was it?
Bacon making.
Ooh, we
bacon
get to learn to whistle? Oh, I know what my character is going to be learning to do. So do we get to learn to make bird noises? Or are we just, ooh. Or do we get to learn to whistle our favorite tunes?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. He did that instead. It has something to do with bookkeeping or something like that. So I'm thinking it's bird watching or something of that nature.
Nice.
So we have to see what it is when we actually find out what it is. But it sounds like it has something to do with bird watching or something like this. Either that or we'll be learning bird calls to summon birds.
I'd be okay with that. I want the eagle one, though, to summon the eagles. But that one might just be Guire!
Oh, well, I suspect if you try to do that, you would get a normal eagle instead of Guire.
You never know.
Yeah. Now, he also had talked about the question on being able to track multiple resources because that is something that they had planned for the expansion when they first announced Umbar last year. They were hoping that we'd be able to, in the crafting updates, to be able to track multiple resources. And they keep on making a little bit of progress. It's sort of been one of those things where it's one step forward, two steps back. That's what it seems like. Because every time they think they are making headway, another snag because it looks like the tech that they have in there just is being stubborn on it. So right now they are starting to get close to the point where they're saying, are we just going to give up on this thing or what? But things don't look too good at the moment. Maybe there's still some hope for it, but if it runs into any more snags, I have a feeling it's going to be postponed indefinitely. He did say, though, on the good news side, is that in Update 40, they are planning on adding carry-all renaming.
Ah, very cool.
Oh, that will be so helpful.
So we can tell which carry-all has what stuff in it.
And then I don't have to open all of them all the time to try and figure it out. So my whole screen is carry-alls.
Yes. Okay. So, of course, now you got to get your carry-alls organized so that you could have a short name for it and still understand what it is.
That is not a problem. Mine are organized.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're all over my screen. Is so that I can be like, okay, this is, and then I have one that's like miscellaneous that then I can sort out into, so I don't have to like sort as I go.
Ah. All right.
Can you imagine? Every time we kill something, hold on, gotta organize.
Okay. And that concludes what we had from the Friday stream. So let's head into store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
You can find your Shadowfax and get 20% off select war steeds and mounts, riding skills, war steed cosmetics, but there is no Shire Plum dye, movement speed buffs through April 11th, and then also a free battle potion of restoration ×5 with the coupon code Battle Restore, all caps BATTLER ESTORE. Also through April 11th.
Yeah, actually, I tried to think if he actually said this or not, but I thought he might have mentioned something of the possibility of a new mount type in the next expansion.
Unicorns.
I don't think it's unicorns. I mean, and I know that Sans will hope it's Mumox.
Of course.
But I think it's probably going to be simply camels.
Well, it's cool. Not as cool as a Moonlock, though.
I
We'll
could
see.
survive with camels if it came with Shire Plum dye.
What? Well, something tells me that that's not going to happen, but
well, a camel could have a really colorful saddle blanket sort of thing.
Absolutely.
That could be sharp
Terrifying.
sometimes.
All right. Let's head into our reminiscing about. What's the reminiscing this week?
So, courtesy of listener Ravi again, Ravi was thinking about how certain franchises that have been around for a really long time start to self-reference, and was wondering if you could think of any moments where LOTRO gets notably self-referential, where you can clearly tell it's a long-running story, or perhaps where it gets meta and breaks the fourth wall. So, offhand, I can't.
Oh boy.
But I thought perhaps you guys might, having played it longer, and paid more attention to the story. Pine Leaf and Sands. Possibly Krister, I don't know.
Well,
But I know the other two have.
Well, when I think on something, the first thing that came to my mind were things like the story of Horn and Nona, which pops up on several occasions. And we have Gunine, who we had coming back several times. And of course, Bingo Boffin. Cinders, have you ever done Bingo Boffin?
I have gotten to Rivendell on Bingo Boffin.
Okay. Yes, and you know that when you go into the Yondershire, they have this self-referential thing where you run into Bingo Boffin in the Yondershire. Despite the fact it's a little breaking of the timeline, but that's beside the point.
Well, you know.
Yes. But yes, so Bingo Boffin returning on a couple of occasions after you do this entire big long series with them. Someday, maybe you could finish the series. Okay, those are the first three that came to my mind. And Krister, what about you? Can you think of any?
Oh, no. No, I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to think of. I mean, like seeing the reoccurring characters, of course.
Oh yes, yes.
What were those two? What were those two explorers that we could run into in all the zones?
Floyd and DeWitt.
Floyd and DeWitt. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I seem to remember those guys did have some smarty pants comments too.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. I've forgotten all about their comments.
Like the meta and breaking the fourth wall, I'm just not. Nothing's leaping to mind. I'm sure after contemplating it for a bit, I can think.
Well, there is the running gag about boars. You know, all throughout LOTRO, where first of all you have all these quests where you kill boars, then you get to Lothlorien, and one of the elves is puzzled on why you have this certain reaction whenever he talks to you about nothing so great as some nice boar meat. You know? Not knowing it was like, okay, more boars, you know. So the joke on that, and of course the whole joke about no boars in the Evendim. So that's a running gag all throughout LOTRO. So I don't think I recall a boar. Were there any boar gags after Lothlorien?
I don't
maybe
know
they
if
got
it's
bored.
I don't know if it's a gag, but trying to find the stinking boar in King's Gondor, that was irritating.
The boar and King's trying to because there were so few of them or something like that.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
or everybody ran through there, but then like you had to kill so many of them, and then you had like it was a Slayer deed for boar,
Yeah.
specifically boar. Nothing else would do,
Nothing else would do.
and it had to be specific boar, not just any boar would do either. Yeah, Mary Rose says the title Pork Chopper after killing one boar in several areas.
Oh yes, that was a good one, and that when they removed all the boar in Angmar, they left the old Cooking Quest boar in there, partly because they needed it for the Cooking Quest, but partly because you needed it in order to finish Pork Chopper.
Yep. And he's still there.
Yep.
What about the obsession with chickens as well?
Oh, yes.
You can drive chickens with a golf club.
You can be a chicken.
You can be a chicken. And if you think about it now, thinking about this, I'm glad Ravi posed this question because it cogitated my melon. And what if, the thing that we don't see and I bet you this happens in pretty much every moment in Lord of the Rings. They're fighting the Balrog. I bet you there's a chicken around there somewhere. The Riders of Rohan, there's a bunch of chickens running around all over there. Gondor, chickens. Minas Tirith getting assaulted, chickens. There's chickens everywhere. We should acknowledge the fact that as long with the heroes, the elves, the dwarves, and the humans, chickens were there fighting side by side.
Oh, so we got Forrest Cluck then.
Yes.
But they should have shown that. I mean, how dramatic would that have been right after the elves showed up at Helm's Deep? If then a legion of chickens showed up too.
Okay, that would have been funny.
Oh, and then those chickens being driven off the wall between arrow flights. Oh, they could have probably intercepted that guy that blew up the wall and steered him over to the ramp and maybe blew that up.
I can just see it. All the people who take the flying leap off the Minas Tirith. The top of the prow. Oh.
The sky is filled with chickens.
The sky is falling. Oh no, it's just more chickens. Fresh meat for dinner.
Yeah, but they had another quest, though, that demonstrated that chickens should be able to survive that fall.
Yeah, Mary Rose says tossing chickens in pre-battle Minas Tirith. That quest was so fun.
So, anyone else have something to add on this? Then let's head into our new player question. And what is the new player question for this week?
So this comes from Ravi again. So there's a little bit more detail later down below. But it's about being a part of group play. And Ravi would like to play a lore master, a burglar, a captain, because they feel like they'd most like to be support in a group. Wants to know if this is something that's viable, if people will roll characters like that specifically for group play, and if yes, how would somebody go about doing that? And the answer is yes, it is viable. Yes, people do this, and you just roll your character for it. Anyhow, so there's more detail down below. But really what it comes down to is you find a supportive group of people who have other characters who have the same class, and you ask them questions and you listen and you learn. So I talked a little bit about my characters that started at like level 105. So Cinderina, one of my other characters, got Valored up to 105. I think it was Valor. It might have been an Arya at that point. Popped her all the way up. I had no idea how to play her. Had no idea what any of the skills did. But Sans introduced me to a fantastic friend named Finn. And Finn plays a lore master. And Finior taught me everything I needed to know about being a better lore master independently, and also being a better lore master in the group, because he showed me how to help ploy with raids and stuff like that, and the things that made the lore master special. And I've done the same kind of a thing with M, with finding other people who've played the same class, and watching what they did and asking questions. So you can start a new player if you want, but you can also take a player that you already have, that you just really love, and find a group of people to help you with it. Anybody else want to add to that? Because I
Well,
kind
one
of
of
ran with it.
yes, one possibility is that you find a kinship. First off, is probably the most important thing you do. So you find one. For example, I'm in one called Mythgard, and Mythgard is definitely not a rating kinship, but they're more like they're attached to the group that does Sigmund Universities because they they do a lot of things relating to that. So any meetings that are done regarding for it is we meet over there at the Mythgard Discord in there, and we have Friday night fights, and in Friday night fights we get together and then we try to form groups based on what we have. It's probably going to become a lot easier to work with players at different levels if they actually do get that scaling thing done, because sometimes we have trouble finding, okay, well, now I gotta see, do I have a character down to that level so that we can balance the groups and stuff like that? That'd be a whole lot easier if they get level scaling to work as Orion hopes. But right now, it's finding a supported kin. Sometimes a kin will have a weekly event where they're starting new characters or starting character or playing characters that are at a certain level or something like that. Some like to have a tortoise stone groups where they go up to level, then they have a stone of the tortoise so they can stop their leveling so they could do something, the capped stuff, and then they proceed on from there. So those are all sorts of options that they have on there. But I'd say the most important step is if you find a kinship, because they will be able to probably help you the most in there, because you'll find the people as such Cinders is talking about who are your class, who can help you and give you advice, plus people who are playing other classes so that you could try that class, the class you're working on, with other people so that you could learn your role in a group a lot better. Anything else?
I just kind of cheated. Because Sans.
So you took the fast path, the dark side.
I took the expedited route, yes.
Well, okay, so to be fair, we started off wanting to just level quickly together, and brilliantly rolled a guardian and a captain, and leveling quickly on landscape with a guardian and captain was just really painful for me.
And that was before they nerfed the guardian damage.
Even further.
Well, yeah, that wasn't exactly the best choice of paired classes. Yes.
But I was like, oh, leveling was nice and fun and fast on my minstrel and my hunter. Surely this will be nice and fast. No. No, it was not.
Oops. Yes.
But the Arya was nice and fast.
Yeah, the Aria was nice and fast. I'm sure
That
it was.
is the way to quickly level captain and guardian combo.
But we did not do it on our captain and guardian.
No, but your guardian did.
No, my
No.
guardian did not.
No, we ran you up.
Yep. That
We skirmished.
We skirmished. Which is why I had Storm on Methedra Stun. But what we did was we popped up my lore master, and she was able to start questing with Sans' hunter, with Pineleaf's warden, with Terry's champion, and it was glorious. And then I got to meet all their friends, and that is how I roll.
Ah, but did you suffer the embarrassment of the Vallard character? You know what I'm talking about, of course.
Horse grats! I take it as a sign of high intelligence that I thought to pop myself up to that level. And I did a good enough job figuring out my class that people regularly forgot that I had not leveled it traditionally. So, that's how I know I did the job.
You are the very first person that I've ever heard being proud of that.
Hey.
Anything else to add before we head into our weekend gaming?
No, I think that was beautifully said, by the way. And if Ravi's looking for a suggestion, of course, I feel like the latter option outlined was the best, which is, captain. Captain's the best for supporting.
Lore
Just
master.
put that out there.
Lore master.
Blah blah blah.
Lore master.
I can't hear you.
You get a pet.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
You
Let's sing some
get a
shanties then.
pet.
Oh, great. That's all I need. Having enough problems with the lore master now. Now it's shanty time.
All right, let's head to our weekend gaming. Krister, did you go back into the depths?
We did after my general. I'm called Incompetent Krister for a reason. After my general incompetence at figuring out the event stuff in Discord, we had a bunch of sign-ups and confusion, but we quickly got organized and were able to complete depths on T1. It was very nice. It went very, very well and very quickly as well. So now people are getting kind of excited for T2 and, of course, nervous. Because anytime we get excited about anything and we feel the slightest iota of confidence, I know we're going to get smashed to oblivion in whatever our next endeavor is. So, the T2 feels like it's going to be a moment of reflection upon, no, we're not as good as we think we are.
So you mean you're so confident now that you'll never do T1 again?
No. We'll probably be doing T1 quite a bit because we'll need to go back to T1 to feel better about ourselves.
Yay!
Doing T2.
Some of us still need to beat T1.
Yeah, and it's not like we're going to stop. We're going to still be doing T1s. So, but it was just really nice to have complete it last night and not complete it in desperation. It was smooth, and I really don't think anybody died during the final boss fight. So it was really, really cool. And so we played some Minecraft this week, which was a lot of fun. And that, of course, got me playing Starship Evo again because Minecraft in space. And also this week I was playing some Helldivers 2 and, of course, ESO, where I found some more cosmetics that have made me get back on my orc. I was playing my Arcanist there for quite some time, but now my orc looks awesome again, so now he has to travel land and show off. And that was my weekend gaming. Cinders, what were you up to?
So I played some Dawn of Man. I actually played a lot of Dawn of Man. I made it to the Iron Age, and I have endured many raider attacks, but they are struggling to break down the rock walls. So I'm very happy with that, since those are the strongest walls that I got. Did some Stardew Valley, played with my kid and with Sans, and we got to enjoy some of the newer features, and I got Sans to try a hilltop farm with me. And then we played Minecraft, started a new server, and did some crazy adventuring. I started building a castle, falling from a height. Highly problematic. You will die.
Yes.
And when I fell and died, it actually wasn't from the top part of the castle. It was from a much lower part. And then Pineleaf was like, why didn't you use scaffolding? And I was like, because I couldn't figure out how to make it go up instead of sideways.
Well, anyway, she's going to invest in some feather falling boots as soon as she has a chance, right?
Maybe.
Well, and
Or I'll
Sans,
just
you might
quit building
appreciate this.
stuff.
While we were on the server, and so Pine and Cinders were together, and I was off by myself, but we were not. We hadn't coordinated where we were or anything. We ran into each other. We actually just ran into each other out there. So I was thinking the odds of that was actually pretty low, so that was kind of cool.
And then we got lost on our way back.
Yes.
Because when I said, oh, what happens if we go right here? And Krister is quite a ways ahead of me. He goes, yes, let's go right here. You go two different rights and do not end up in the same spot.
Right. 2 rights makes a left, right?
Something like that. Yeah, we
No,
did all
3
get
rights
back to
make
the
a
same
left.
place. But yes, so I've built a castle complete with stained glass. It's glorious. And I finished the roof, so no more falling off the high ceilings unless something happens and it burns down. Which it had better not. Hey, Sans. Yeah, that was my week in gaming. Sans, what did you do?
Well, I got a letter in the mail saying that there was a problem, there was a fox, and there was a hen house, and all the chickens went missing. And the town crier had more information, which I thought was really interesting. So I went and talked to the town crier and got caught in a foul trap and discovered that it made me a chicken on the moors. And I was delighted, even though I spawned in the middle of wolves and was promptly killed. And so I did it again. And it was so much fun that I logged in a new character just so I could do it again. And that was fun too. So I logged in another character just so I could do it again. And I think I did it like 7 or 8 times before Guer convinced me that we should go do something else. Because she did not want to run across the moors as a chicken. I'm not quite sure why. It was a lot of fun. Like at one point the chickens were even like talking to each other in our little world chat thing. So, it was nice. It was fun. And I discovered that if you spawn in the middle of the wargs, you should push 5 first. Unless you've, changed something in your setup.
Maybe Alt F4. How about that?
Well, okay. Yeah, that would probably do it too. But, 5 is supposed to, you look up at the sky and panic and, tell everybody that the sky is falling. And it stuns the enemies around you for 15 seconds. And that might give you a chance to escape.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, just so that you know, number 5 is your friend should you find yourself in that situation ever. Also, chickens can't enter Glen Vreg, which I thought was slightly rude. But it was a lot of fun running all the way up there and pecking at the invisible wall. And then I went over to a Guardian and got the full title again because it was fun. And then worked with Guer to find some mobs that were higher level than 25 that would be kind of difficult and fun to fell. And we're like, well, how about giants in the Misty Mountains? But I got up to the giants and they were purple. All the dwarves, in the evil dwarf area were red named. And I was like, yes, they're really important. This is great. Oh man, the giants are purple. So then we did some quests so I could level up 2 levels so that I could fight giants. And we felled a bunch of giants and put some trolls to sleep. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I've done a lot of Stardew Valley farming this week. So that's pretty much my week.
All right.
How was your week, Pineleaf?
Yeah, I'll begin with my warden there. My warden finally completed the last of the Hunter Camp quests in Umbar. So I could check that off the list of things that I need to do there. And on Friday Night Fights, we learned why you never enter an arena with only 4 players. Yeah. And finally, my lore master walked down the Forsaken Road, and it looks like we lost a ranger or 2 along the way. Now that concludes our week in LOTRO, but Cinders has a special report, or should I say M?
So, I was doing some research on coffee shops in the Seattle area because when you're bored on spring break, what do? You take a 3-hour road trip. And I found this one called Hello M. And once I found it, I couldn't not go. Because there's Emerlina, who is my main. So I did go to Seattle and I went today and I got to try Vietnamese coffee. So this is coffee from Vietnam, like the beans and stuff came from Vietnam. And it was made in a Vietnamese style. And then I had banh mi for lunch with my friends that went with me. Surprisingly, the friend who did a 16-hour road trip with me agreed to go on another road trip with me and was asking for another one after this. So we had delicious coffee, but I learned that Vietnamese coffee, not only is it strong, both in its caffeine content, but it actually has like a body of its own. So, like, for those of you who haven't had it, you know how, like, chocolate syrup has kind of I want to call it a viscosity to it, where it actually has, like, a texture of its own? The coffee was like this as well. And so I had a 12-ounce coffee, and I think I maybe made it through a third of it before I couldn't handle it anymore. It was delicious. The texture, I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I've eaten. Because it does help fill you up. I highly recommend the shop if you're ever there. It's really a cool place. They had some innovative ideas for building community, which I thought were really cool. A lending library for the people who live in the area. And they're working on an oral history collaborative for recording the stories of Vietnamese immigrants and Vietnamese Americans in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the conflict ending. So I thought it was really cool. And I highly recommend going if you ever get the opportunity. So that was my fun little adventure to see Hello M.
All right. Thank you, Cinders. Oh, we have an email this week. We heard a couple of snippets of it earlier in the episode for our new player question and our reminiscing area, but I think that Cinders would like to read the entire thing now, or at least
absolutely
parts we had to skip.
So, Ravi says, hello again, dear LOTRO players. Thank you for reading and answering my letter the other week. It was very interesting. By the way, I am at episode 274 now. I'll probably have to slow down soon, or I will start running into spoilers, given that my main has only just started Mordor Besieged. This time, I have two questions. One, your more typical new player question, and one kind of thematic smiley face. Number one, I have been wondering lately about trying to play some group instances, but I think all of my existing characters are geared towards solo play. A red burglar main who never touched a trick in his life, several blue hunters to grind LOTRO points, several roleplay characters for fun and chill. The most promising is a mid-level lore master I have, but I don't think I'd be able to do anything right in a fellowship without starting fresh and learning this class as it pertains to group play. Hence, here's the question. I want to create a new character aimed at group play from the start. It will probably be a lore master, burglar, or a captain because I feel like I would most like to be support in a group. Is this viable? Do people do this? And if yes, how would somebody go around that? A mini should also be on that list. I'm gonna just insert that there as a support class for roleplay.
Well, I think that's because I have a feeling they didn't think of that as a one because that's usually a mini is used thought of as a healing class.
Yeah. I would consider healing a support.
Well, in that case, blue hunters are totally support too, DPS.
That's true.
No, they're the main deal. Nothing dies if they're not there.
Well,
the main deal because boss always has their attention on them.
Yeah. Usually when I hear it, is that the four types of characters are tank, DPS, heal, and support.
Okay. We can go with your version 2. It is probably more accurate. I'll be honest. That's just not how I think of them. And then number 2. This is a more literary question, if you will. While listening to a Star Trek podcast, I heard the host talk about how if a franchise has been going long enough, it will inevitably begin to get self-referential. In Star Trek, it comes in the form of bringing back characters from past series, recycling episode plots with a twist if they are good, going into prequels, getting a little meta with the jokes, etc. LOTRO, of course, is a very different thing because of the genre and because of the source material and its depth. Yet over the course of 17 years, they must have surely touched that territory of longevity where things start to loop around a bit. And then that takes us into the question. My question is, can you think of some moments where LOTRO gets noticeably self-referential, where you can clearly tell that it's a long-running story, perhaps moments where it gets quite meta and breaks the fourth wall? Feel free to answer any or none of these. It's just my curiosity speaking. Thank you for the fun podcast, Ravi. Also, I'm going to kind of go back up, because I was just thinking about it. Playing, like, as part of a fellowship with a group doesn't have to be just tied to, like, raiding and skirmishing and things like that, because you can form a fellowship and just run around on landscape and have fun. And you can even all be the exact same class and have a ton of fun doing that too. So
Yeah.
it really depends on what kind of group play you're after.
Yeah. Currently, I'm in a group on early Friday night, where we have 4 mariners grouped together.
Oh my goodness. What is wrong with you people?
And I've encountered a group on Landscape that was all bears, and they were a lot of fun.
And there was
now that was a blast. Yeah.
We had the group that was all lore masters too. Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we did that one once. Yeah.
So.
And then we had the group of all burglars. That was fun too.
Oh yeah, with the girls.
Uh-huh.
That was the group that had the moose, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was the old burglar raid.
Other thoughts though about group play? Like, if you really like Blue Hunters, even if they're geared for solo play, you have those 2 slots, those 2 trait things. I think most people do. Maybe you only have 1.
Oh, it depends on whether maybe free to play only gets 1, maybe, or something. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember on my free to play account, and I don't have it. I don't remember. I unlocked a bunch with the free codes a while back. And I'm not sure if that was one of the things that would unlock.
Well, yeah.
But if you do have access to that second slot, even if you have a character who's been geared burglar or a hunter, whoever, who's been geared for running solo, you can use that second trait line, the second option, to change up their skills to be more what you need for a particular group. So my main is a blue hunter, and if I want to go raiding or something with my main, my second tab is what I call a purple hunter, because it draws some skills from the blue line and some skills from the red line to get more DPS than I get on landscape, because on landscape I want to run fast more than I want to do more DPS. And it doesn't change my rotation very much, it just increases my damage. So you can always consider something like that as well. Like, you don't have to roll a new character necessarily. If you want to, new characters are awesome. As somebody with like 53 of them. But you don't have to just to play in a group.
My recommendation is to find a class you really enjoy and then just lean into it. For me, that's Lore Master and Guardian, and I kind of go back and forth on which one I really am passionate about at that moment. Lately, it's been the Guardian. So, play what you love.
Yeah. I think you get tired of Guardians when you're forced to solo it.
But see, I don't solo with my Guardian.
Well,
I don't.
Yeah, you got a point there. All right.
It would teach you patience.
Nah, patience.
All right. If you'd like to send us a letter, you can send it to podcast@loachplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows each week. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News and re-record DDO Players News when DRAC is available. You can join us for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Polly Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.